So I had one guy say that I should put like round rock in here. That way it wouldn't wash out. The water would actually flow through it. But I didn't want to buy any. So I'm just going to throw some big ones in to lessen the amount of fill we need. We got one dump truck full of gravel from our driveway dumped off to use for projects like this. I'm trying to tune up my trails a little bit. There's 2 wet spots on this, actually 3 wet spots on this trail that I want to add dirt to, and hopefully that will get them up higher and dry them out. So I'm taking it from like a borrow pit over here. This is just a big mound from when they built this logging road a long time ago. So I took probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 scoops and dumped it on this area. But I'm hoping during the summer that this will dry out and the added dirt will hopefully help. And then I can come in here when it dries out and shape this a little bit better. Put a mound on this, add more dirt. But right now it's very soupy. So I can't get in here with the tractor anymore. But last year I tried to let this dry out and shape it as it was, and it never dried out. So I think I got to add dirt to it. So hopefully this will work. So now this is 1 week later, and it's only rained one time since I filmed me taking out of this pile of dirt and bringing it to the low area. And what I did was I was disking my food plot, and I thought I'd come in here and disc this to dry it out a little bit more. And the disc is really good at leveling these trails out. What I did was I had the bucket on the tractor, and I took a couple high spots and scraped them down and filled it in a little bit more because it was dry enough where I can get in here. And then I just disked it, and it's a lot better than it was. I can actually walk in here now. Before I was sinking up almost to my knees, so you can see how dry it is. And now my hope is when it rains and stuff, the rain will just kind of shed off and get into these mosquito breeding ponds. This is the other low spot, and it doesn't even look like a low spot anymore. When you bring the tractor in here, you drop down, but again, it's wet underneath, and I think it'll just need a little bit of time to dry out, but I can walk on it. But I think come fall that this will fix the problem. I won't have these, once it dries out in the fall, I won't have these wet spots next spring. So I think we're good to go. I also don't bring the tractor back here very often, so I think I may hinge cut the sides of this trail. There's a lot of medium-sized trees, and I may drop those into the woods, bringing in a bunch of light on this trail, and then I can just plant this in clover or a type of mix or something, just to give a little bit more food for the deer and steer them toward my tree stands possibly, and also thicken up the edge, which will create browse and even more food, and thicken up the deer woods from one side of the woods, you know, to the other. Breaking up sight lines and stuff and making the deer feel safer during the day, which hopefully will let them move around during the day. I've already hinge cut this area, so you can see those trees are all still alive, and they can't see into the woods as easily, but then there's still areas where they can get through. Hopefully continuing to do that type of habitat improvement and stuff will boost the deer numbers in these woods, and we'll see more deer. So these food plots, a couple of them have really wet areas. So what I've been trying to do is take the back blade and blade off the high areas and bring it down and fill in low areas. So my goal is to try to level out the food plot as best as possible so I can come in here earlier during the year because it'll be drier. I scraped a bunch of the dirt off the high areas, piled it up, and then grabbed it with the bucket, brought it over and dumped it in the low areas. So we'll disc it up, and hopefully next year we won't have these really wet areas on any of these food plots. We'll see. My goal is to do this early on because then I can build the soil back up. I know I'm kind of wrecking the soil by taking that topsoil off the other areas, but I think it'll benefit me in the long run because I'll be able to get to these food plots a few weeks earlier, or a couple weeks earlier. So this is the food plot that is closest to my cabin. I dissed it this morning, and also I backbladed. Well, first I backbladed the high spots and brought it down to this wet area, and you can tell it's not wet anymore. So hopefully that'll continue. Next spring, I brought quite a bit of dirt from the top side down here, and then I disked it, and then after that I dragged it with the harrow with the teeth down, and now I'm going to plant buckwheat, a little bit of forage peas and sunflowers, and then I'm going to drag it again with the teeth flat to get that seed. It's a little bit larger. It needs to be about an inch below the dirt level. So I'm gonna go over it with the drag probably 3 or so times, and hopefully it gets deep enough. And then it's supposed to rain tomorrow, about a 50% chance, so hopefully actually the next 3 days it's like a 50% chance, so hopefully it rains.